Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over the severe storms which are going to be impacting parts of the southern plains. We're going to be seeing some of these same areas be impacted with multiple days on end with some of these severe storms. We have all that mild and warm air to the west and into the central plains as well. And then we have some chillier and colder air out to the east because of a high pressure, an area of high pressure. And that area of high pressure is also going to be bringing in, on the back end of it, some warmer and humid air into the southern plains. Because of that, we're going to actually be dealing with, again, a lot of severe weather over the next couple of days into these areas. So it's going to be multiple days on end with these severe storms into the southern and central plains. We're going to be timing it out for you guys and giving you all the information you need to know about these severe storms in today's video. So make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end. So here's what the current National Weather Service page looks like. As you can see, we have some red flag warnings in parts of Arizona and Utah, as well as some wind advisories in Southern California. We have flood watches in parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. But other than that, we don't see many other watches or warnings currently in place. It's a fairly inactive day through much of the country, except if you live in the southern plains. In Stovepipe Wells, California, they had the national high temperature at 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and the low temperature was in Walden, Colorado, where they got down to 23 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest precipitation or rainfall report was in Hampton, Fairview, Kansas, where they got down up to 2.6 inches of rainfall, and there were no snowfall reports yesterday. So no snowfall, but there was quite a bit of rainfall in parts of the central plains yesterday. So taking a look at some of that rainfall that's currently going on, you can see how we have some of that rain spanning from Nebraska all the way down into northeastern Kansas. Last night we had most of that rain setting up over central Kansas right in here. But now that has moved further north and eastward, and we're starting to see areas further east of there start to be impacted more with the severe weather. So if we look a little bit further south, you're going to see that in parts of Texas, we're dealing with some of this heavier rainfall and also storm minutes, especially in the coastal and southern parts of Texas. So areas into extreme southern Texas all the way up just west of Houston are dealing with some of these bigger clusters of storms. And all of that rainfall is just the start of what we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing maybe upwards of 5 or 6 inches of totaled rainfall over the next 3 days. And again, we're going to be talking a lot more about that in just one moment. So here's what the Storm Prediction Center is forecasting for this event. You can see they have a marginal risk of severe weather in that green for much of the central and southern plains, as well as a slight risk, which they just added just a few minutes ago, into parts of the central plains. And that covers parts of Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska. All of those areas are under a slight risk for today, and here's for Monday. And they have an even wider area of slight risk, which covers western Texas, western Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and a little bit of Colorado and New Mexico. And then that marginal risk covers much of the southern and central plains as well. And then if we look at Tuesday, they only have a marginal risk out right now for parts of Oklahoma and Texas, but I would assume and I would imagine that they probably will put up a slight risk. And if I had to guess where they would put it, I would say just from the corridor from Dallas to San Antonio and then pretty much east of there, so pretty much in this shape right here, is where I would expect a slight risk to be added. And then of course that marginal risk would kind of wrap around it, just based on what I'm currently seeing within the model. So it looks like we might see a line of storms that just goes through pretty much the entirety of eastern Texas on Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about that again in just one moment. So here's what the NAM 3KM model is showing, which is basically a model that I like to use a lot, especially for simulating the forecasted radar. It's really good at picking up on small details, and that's why it's really good at when you're trying to figure out what's going to happen in severe weather. So you can see that we already have some of those storms in parts of Texas and Oklahoma starting to fire up. We see a little bit of that residual rainfall in Kansas and Nebraska. This would be by later this morning, so around 11 a.m. Central Time. And if we continue this forward, you're going to see that that line of storms continues to head further to the east. I wouldn't even call it a line of storms, probably more of just a cluster of smaller storms that are just heading eastward in a mannerly fashion. So those are just going to continue to head further to the east. They're just going to weaken a little bit as they head east, and they're not going to pose too much of a risk. What we're going to start to see is that over the next couple of frames here, a few storms are going to pop up in this area right here. So I'm going to leave that on the screen, and you're going to start to see that circle right there is going to fill in. So you can see that by later tonight, we're starting to see more of those storms fill in there. This would be around 7 p.m. Central Time, and you're seeing that box fill in a little bit more with some of these thunderstorms. And these thunderstorms are going to head further and further to the east. They're going to head into Kansas and northern Oklahoma. They're going to strengthen a little bit more, and you're also going to see a few more storms start to pop up to the south. And that's going to be the ones that actually impact more of eastern Texas and southern Oklahoma as well. So you're starting to see more of those storms rolling through parts of Kansas and Colorado. This would be around 10 p.m. Central Time here tonight, and then here would be by very early tomorrow morning, so around 1 or 2 a.m. And we're dealing with more of these storms over pretty much Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, parts of Texas as well. But it's more of just a scattered sort of system here. We're not dealing with anything that's too organized or too well developed within these areas. You're now starting to see more of a very widespread area of robust and severe thunderstorms by early tomorrow morning. So this is around 4 a.m. Central Time, and we're dealing with more of these storms into western Arkansas, western Missouri, parts of central and eastern Oklahoma, and also a little bit of Texas as well. So these are the areas that are going to be impacted with that severe weather and with those severe storms. So it looks like we'll have a couple of hours of very severe weather in parts of Oklahoma and Texas. These are robust storms that could potentially cause damage, and unfortunately they are coming at night, so a lot of you guys will probably be asleep by this point, so that really isn't too good because we will be dealing with that severe weather. And of course, just in the unfortunate case that there is a tornado, you want to make sure that you are getting to, if you have a tornado shelter, get there as quickly as possible, or just go to the most interior room in your house. Also, try and keep your notifications on and your alerts on your phone tonight and over the next couple of nights, just in case you get any tornado alerts or any severe thunderstorm alerts, because that'll definitely come in that will be definitely very, very helpful in the case that there is any big severe storms within your local area. So this would be by early tomorrow morning. We're dealing with this line of storms heading into parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas by around 7 a.m. Central Time tomorrow morning. That's going to head to the east. These are not too severe by this point. So maybe into northeastern Texas, we're getting a few more heavy areas of rainfall. But it's nothing that's going to be overly severe at this point. These are going to continue to disperse and head to the south, actually, and roll through parts of eastern Texas. And now we're going to roll up and get ready for our next round of severe weather. And guess where it's starting out? In that same exact area in Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma. So in that same little intersection there is where these storms are going to start off, and then you're going to see that for Tuesday, these are going to be the most severe of the storms, in my opinion. We're going to be dealing with widespread, fairly impactful storms. So these are going to be something that you really want to pay attention to. So we have this initial line of storms into Colorado, Oklahoma, and northernmost Texas. That's going to head out into Kansas, but that's not what we're really worried about. You can see how I'll actually go back one frame. So this is what we're dealing with Tuesday around 1 or 2 a.m. So this is very, very early in the morning. Notice that this small area of just very light rain, nothing too important, doesn't look like anything is really happening within that area. If we go to the next frame, we have a full-blown, very major and very big area of severe weather, derecho type of event, or at least a derecho-like event. Maybe not up to the exact criteria, but definitely has the same similarities as a derecho or a straight line wind event type of storm. And you can see how just within a couple of hours, if you check the radar at 1 or 2 a.m., you're not going to see too much. But then if you check the radar around maybe 4 a.m., that's when you're going to start to see these storms pop up. So this is going to be definitely dangerous because it could definitely put some people off guard, especially if you look outside your window, it's clear when you go to bed, and then you get woken up at 4 in the morning by some really heavy thunder and rainfall. So that'll definitely be something that you want to pay attention to. These are going to be probably the most severe storms, and I'm most concerned for Tuesday especially. You're going to start to see that it looks like it's weakening by this point by Tuesday morning, but it's actually going to start to strengthen. So you can see how that line of storms only grows. So it's continuing to grow from north to south, and it's also continuing to intensify as it's heading into the into parts of eastern Texas. We have dew points that are going to be up near 76 or 77, with Cape values that are going to be upwards of 3 to 4,000. So these are really high Cape values, and we have very, very high dew points as well. And all of that coming together is really going to help these storms develop. Here to be by Tuesday in the early afternoon, and we're dealing with this line of storms continuing to grow, and it's now stretching almost all the way into southern Texas, and that goes all the way up into Oklahoma as well. So it's a very big line of storms, and eventually that model run does expire at that point, so it doesn't go out far enough for us to see, but we would expect that it would go into eastern most Texas, and then eventually into Louisiana and southern Arkansas, and probably weaken a little bit as it continues to head further to the east. Here's the total rainfall over the next 3 to 4 days, and you can see how we have very heavy rainfall, about 5 to 7 inches of rainfall in some of these areas, especially if you're in kind of that gray or purple area. That's where you're dealing with the heaviest rainfall. Even if you're not, even if you're just in that orange or red color, that's between 2 and 3 inches of rainfall, which covers much of northern Texas, southern Oklahoma, western Arkansas, and northwestern Louisiana. So it's a huge area that's being impacted by these storms. And also looking at the Cape values, these are also going to be high. So this is the convective available potential energy, a way of measuring instability. And you can see that for today we have Cape values that are going to be between 2 and 4,000, which is quite high and definitely above what you would need to get any typical storm. If we look at for Monday, these are going to be much, much higher. As you can see, we have Cape values that are going to be between about 5,000 and about 2,500, which is still very, very high, and that is well above what you would need. We even have some Cape values reaching up near 6,000, so well above the standard and what is typical for this time of year. And if we look at for Tuesday, it doesn't look like we have that high of Cape values, but in reality, your line of storms by this point on the model run is right in here. So this is the path that the storm has taken, and anywhere that's pretty much within that path or behind it, which I'll actually highlight right here, anywhere that would be within this area right here is not going to be seeing any high Cape values, because all that Cape has already been used. All that energy has already been used. So you're not going to be seeing that popping up on these model runs with insanely high Cape values to the west. But know that we already saw some of these storms eat up all that energy and all that Cape earlier that day. So that's why you don't see that much Cape in parts of western Texas. That's just because all that energy has already been used and utilized to grow those storms. Here is the dew points as well. These are really going to be very, very high. We're dealing with dew points all above 70 into eastern Texas for today. If we look at for tomorrow, we have even higher dew points. We're dealing with dew points maybe up into the mid 70s, so 75, 76, even 77 in some of these areas. So really, really high dew points. And then if we look at for Tuesday, these dew points are also going to be really, really high. You can see the path that those storms had taken, where the dew points drop maybe 10 to 15 degrees. And then we see ahead of there, we have dew points that are probably in the low to mid 70s, so between about 72 and 75 or 76. So really, really humid air through these areas on Tuesday. And then if we look at for the high temperatures, here would be for today, you're dealing with actual high temperatures of Fahrenheit that are going to be between about 75 and 80 in a lot of these areas in Texas. If we go to Monday, We also have temperatures that are going to be in the mid 80s for a lot of these areas, especially in western Texas, which is going to be the main area that's going to be impacted by these storms. And then if we look at for Tuesday as well, we have temperatures in the upper 70s and also into the 80s for Tuesday as well. So all of that coming together is really going to put a really a good picture on what we could be seeing with these severe storms. It looks like we really could have some rather robust storms. So I'm going to be continuing to cover this on my channel, and I'll keep you updated with all the new information that we do get on these storms. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.